Hello, welcome to my channel and thanks for tuning into this video. Today I'm going to be talking all about Salt New York. So if you're not familiar with the brand, they started out with these palettes. So they have the large palette and they have the mini palette. They're magnetic palettes. You can put whatever you want in them. But then they also came out with cream tints. So they have lip and cheek shades. They also have highlight shades, which are their Radiant formula, and then they have sculpting and bronzing shades as well. And so I'm just going to be talking about these. I'm going to demo a few of the products on my face, giving my review, and also comparing with some of my other favorite cream formulas. So if you'd like to see all of that, just keep on watching. Hello, Xander. All right, I'm gonna start with contour and bronzer. So this is the contour shade right here. And you can apply these any way you want, really, with your hands or your fingers, with brushes or with a sponge. They're really super blendable and really easy to apply. I like to do my bronzer and contour with a brush. So I'm gonna take this little Real Techniques setting brush and go right into that contour and just place that right on the cheek. And I'm gonna put a little bit more on. And I'm not really gonna blend it in right now because I'm gonna be putting the bronzer on top of it. And that's gonna blend everything in together. And since I'm working with the contour shade, I'm gonna take my flat definer brush and go into the contour and just do my little lip shading. All right, so that's what the contour looks like on its own. And then I'm gonna top it off with the bronzer. I'm gonna take the Sigma Duo Fiber F50 brush and go right into the light bronze shade. See how easily it pretty much blended itself. I barely had to do anything other than just placing the product onto my face and it's almost immediately blended. It's really amazing. So that's what it looks like with the light bronze shade on top of the contour. This is the most natural cream contour and bronzer formula that I've ever used and definitely the easiest to apply and blend out. It's such a sheer and emollient formula that it just goes on so easily and just melts right into the skin and looks so natural. Now I'm going to put some blush on, and I like to apply the blush really any of the three ways that I mentioned. So either with your fingers or with a brush like this one or with a sponge. It seems to work really well in all of those ways. And let me just show you what the blush shades are that I have. So in my large palette here, I have Tangerine, Raspberry, and Rose. And then in my smaller palette, I have some of the deeper shades. And this one is Spice, this one is Cranberry, and this one is Lilac. I'm gonna show you swatches of everything later on. So for today, I think since I have a little bit of red on my top, I'm going to mix Cranberry and Tangerine together. So let me just pull Tangerine out and put it in my mini palette. There we go. So these two are what I'm going to be mixing today. Going to start on my little brush here with Cranberry. So that's what Cranberry looks like on its own, and then I'm gonna just go in with my finger into Tangerine and pat a little bit of that on top. And then because these are pretty punchy colors, I'm just gonna take my sponge with nothing on it and just sort of go around the edges there just to make sure it's all really seamless. So obviously I had my base on already and I powdered my whole face really lightly. I used the Kosas Cloud Set. I wanted to show you that these creams can work really well over powders as well. So that's Cranberry and Tangerine together. Now let's get into the Radiant shade. So this is one of the sort of highlighting shades. This is the shade Pearl, which is the lightest of their Radiant tints. And I'm so happy with it. I was a little bit concerned that it was going to be white. And not that I don't like white highlighters, but I generally prefer something that's just a little bit less stark than a true white highlighter. And this is not completely white. It's a very, very light beige, I would say. So it's really a perfect shade for me, and I think for anyone with fair skin like I have. So that's what it looks like on the finger, and I'm just gonna tap that onto the tops of my cheekbones. See how beautiful and radiant that is? Now what I like to do sometimes after I've put the highlight on is just go back with a tiny little bit of the blush just to sort of top it off where the highlight might have taken over a little bit. So I'm just going to go in with my finger into my two blush shades. I'm going to rub them together to really dilute the color and just tap that on top and a little bit over the nose. All right, now it's time to go into the eyes, and I like to use all the same products on the eyes, so I'm going to start with the contour shade on my finger and just tap that onto the crease and kind of rub it onto my eyelid. I think you can see if you compare the two, there's just a little bit more shading and definition on the eye with the contour shade, but it looks really natural. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with the bronze shade and just put that on top and bring it over really the whole eyelid now. Still looking really nice and natural. And then I usually like to take whatever blush shade or shades that I'm wearing and put a little bit of those on the eyelids too, just to make the whole face really cohesive. So I've done the same thing. I've tapped between those two shades and then tap my fingers together, and then I'm just going to really lightly press those colors onto the eyes. And the formulas are so sheer and so buildable that you can get a really beautiful, natural, almost like a translucent effect on the skin and the eyes too. Great. And I just remembered I didn't do my under the chin contouring or bronzing, so I'm going to go back with the duo fiber and just go in between the two, the contour and the bronze shade. and just do that really quickly. I like to put a little bit of the highlight shade on my eyes too. So I'm just gonna put that on the lid. It looks really nice on the eyes. Now these do crease on the eyes, but not terribly so. And I mean, I expected that. They are an emollient cream, so that is to be expected. And if you don't like the creasing, it's really easy to just tap it out and they'll look good as new. Okay, I want a little bit of shading underneath my eyes, so I'm going to take the flat definer again, and again just going between the contour and the bronze shade. Just going to pull that under the eyes. Now I need to put a little bit on my lips, and the blush shades that I've been calling blush shades, they're actually lip and cheek, so they're appropriate for both blush and for sort of a lip stain effect. So again, I'm going to be using the same two shades that I used for my blush, and I'm going to start with, I think I'll start with Tangerine this time. Now I find a lot of products that are made for lip and cheek don't feel good on the lips, but these really feel like nothing. You just pat them on and you get this beautiful tint, really natural kind of stain. And they're buildable on the lips too, just like they are on the skin. That's what Tangerine looks like all on its own on the lips. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of Cranberry and kind of put it toward the center. And there we go. So that's it for my demo of these products. I'm just going to put some mascara on, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you more of a review and do some swatches and comparisons with some other cream products. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got all of the lip and cheek shades that I have swatched here. So this is Rose and this is Raspberry. This is Cranberry, Spice, Tangerine, and Lilac. So Rose and Raspberry are part of the original 6 shades that they came out with. So the way that these were designed with the original 6 shades was to have a warm and a cool shade for light skin tones, for medium skin tones, and for deep skin tones. So Rose and Raspberry are the cool shades for light and medium respectively. Then with Cranberry and Spice, these two came out for the holidays in 2020, but I think they've been made permanent shades. And then with Tangerine and Lilac, these are the 2 limited edition spring shades that came out this year. So the way that I have really been loving to wear the cheek shades is to mix 2 shades together, whether that be, you know, blending them together before I put them on my face or doing that kind of layering thing that I did today. I just really enjoy playing around with the different colors and seeing how they work together and getting that nice dimension and a nice bright colorful cheek look. So one of my favorite combinations is what I've done here, which is the Tangerine with the Cranberry. It gives a really nice sort of warm, punchy red cheek. And then an everyday favorite combination that I've really been loving is the Rose and the Raspberry together. The rose as sort of the main color, and then just a bit of the raspberry tapped closer to the apples of the cheeks for a really nice bright punch. And I'm also really curious to try Rose and Spice together because they're quite similar tones. I think Spice is a little bit more nude and brownish, but I think those would play really well together. And I haven't tried the combination of Tangerine and Lilac yet, but I know that I've seen Kate the Great Beauty. She has an awesome YouTube channel, and I've seen her put these 2 together, and it looks really great. So I'm gonna have to try that combination too. But it's just so much fun, I think, and it's natural when you have them all laid out in a palette like this to just play around and mix some colors together. Now I've wiped the tints off my arm, but you can see that there is a very slight sort of staining effect. that goes away. Like if I were to wash this with water and a little bit of soap or makeup remover or whatever, it doesn't really stain. But I love that it has this light sort of staining effect, because I think it really helps the colors to last really well on the cheeks. When I first got these, before I had tried them, you know, I thought, yeah, they're really nice. They're gonna look good for like an hour, and then I'm gonna have to reapply them because they're such a thin and emollient formula, and I'm used to cream blushes not really lasting all that well on my cheeks, but these last better than I think any other cream blush that I have. They really stay looking beautiful and vibrant and colorful all day long. And it's the same with like the bronzer shades and the highlight too. The highlight stays looking really nice and bright and fresh all day. So I'm just really blown away by these products, and I think they might be my favorite cream products ever across the whole spectrum of bronzers, contours, blushes, and highlights. They're just really phenomenal, and I think it's truly a flawless formula. I find zero faults with them, and I'm just so happy to have these. They're the perfect everyday makeup if you like cream products, because they're so easy to use, so easy to apply. They look so natural on the skin. They're just really a dream to work with. Now I have my other 3 products that I have here swatched. So this is the contour, that's the light bronze shade, and then that's the Radiant Tint in Pearl. I have ordered some more products from the brand. What happened was I ordered most of these products in the fall, but I haven't gotten to use them until about a week ago. I ordered them to my sister's house when I was staying with her for a while, but I ended up leaving and coming back home before the things were delivered there. So she's had them at her house, and we've just gone into another full lockdown here. So we were kind of waiting to see if we'd be able to see each other and I could just pick them up in person, but it seems like we're going to be separated for a while longer. So she kindly mailed them to me, and so I've been just playing with them for about the last week or so. Spring Duo I ordered here to my own house a couple weeks ago, so it's pretty recent that I've been playing with these products. So yeah, I ordered a few more things once I played with these and realized how amazing they were. So I have the peach blush and the coral blush coming to me, and then I've ordered 2 more of the Radiant tints, the shade Radiant Beige and the shade Radiant Tan. And I was just kind of curious to see if Radiant Beige will actually work as a highlighter on me. It may be too dark, but I think I'll be able to use it in other ways if it is. And then Radiant Tan I ordered because Kiki, who is the, owner, founder, creative force behind the brand, she uses Warm Tan as sort of like a bronzer topper. So to give even more sort of radiant effect to her bronzer. So I wanted to give that a try as well. And I figure that if the beige shade is too dark for a highlighter for me, I can also use it in that kind of way as sort of a bronze topper, or just a warming product for the face. So I wanted to get into some comparisons. I'm going to compare some shades and also just talk about how the formulas compare with some of my other favorite cream products. So I wanted to start with Rose and Spice and the comparisons with those. So this one is Spice and this one is Rose. So those are both the Salt New York shades. And then this one here is the Tower 28 blush in Magic Hour. And this one is the Westman Atelier blush in Chouchette. So these are all very similar shades, all definitely in the same sort of family of colors. So I'm going to compare them more based on the formula. The Salt New Yorks are definitely the lightest weight and most emollient, while the Tower 28 is not that the Tower 28 is sticky, but it's a stickier feeling than the Salt ones. And the Westman Atelier is more of a matte finish than the rest of them. And also the Westman Atelier and the Tower 28 are just a thicker formula. They're still really lightweight and super blendable and they look great, but they're not as lightweight as the Salt New York. The Salt New York ones, when you touch them, they really feel like just the smoothest, buttery texture that you could imagine. They're really unique among all the rest of my cream products. So again, that's Spice and that's Rose. That's Tower 28 Magic Hour, and that's Westman Atelier Chouchette. All right, so here I've got, again, 2 salt shades and then 2 other ones to compare with. So this one is Lilac from Salt. This is the Fenty Cream Blush in Cool Berry. This is the Westman Atelier Blush in Doo Doo. And this is Salt in Raspberry. So I really wanted to compare these two and then these two. So when you look at Raspberry compared to Doo Doo, I think they have similar vibes, but Doo Doo is a much more toned down color, whereas the Raspberry is a lot more punchy and it seems to have more pink in it. It almost looks like a magenta or a fuchsia in comparison to the more toned down Doo Doo. And then with Lilac versus Fenty Cool Berry, I think they're quite similar shades. Lilac is looking a little bit more rich in terms of a little bit more of a almost wine-like undertone going on than the Cool Berry, so it's just a little bit warmer than Cool Berry, but quite similar shades. Cool Berry has shimmers in it, whereas Lilac doesn't, and again, the textures are different. So the Fenty is not quite as emollient as the Salt ones, and I've already talked about how Westman Atelier compares. So again, that's Lilac, that's Fenty Cool Berry, that's Westman Atelier Doo Doo, and then that's Raspberry from Salt. And last but not least with the blushes, here's Cranberry, that one's Tangerine, and then this is Tower 28 Golden Hour. So they're all different shades to me. This is more of a red orange, the Tower 28, whereas Tangerine is really a true orange to me. And then Cranberry is kind of, I would say it's a cooler red. It's quite a true red, but it has a little bit of blue undertones. And again, the texture of the Tower 28 is a bit thicker and more, it's not as slippy, I think, as the Salt New York ones. It feels like it has a bit more grip when you touch it and just a little bit more thickness to it. So Tower 28 Golden Hour, Tangerine, and Cranberry. Now for the bronzer and contour shades. This is the Salt Contour, and this is the Fenty Cream Bronzer, but it's really a contour in the shade Amber. And then next is the Westman Atelier Contour Stick in Biscuit. So let's talk about these three first. Obviously Amber is much cooler than the other two, and it's really very close to a gray tone. I would say that the Salt Contour and Biscuit are actually quite similar shades, but I think the Salt Contour is just a touch warmer, but it still works great as a contour shade. And as I mentioned, it's really the easiest contour that I've ever used, just because it's such a thin buildable formula and it just blends so easily. I love Biscuit too, but I find it takes just a touch more work to blend it out. And the Salt has more of a satin finish, where I think Biscuit is more of a natural leaning matte finish. Now for the bronzers, this is actually a Westman Atelier highlighter. So this is the Lit Up Stick in the shade Brulee. For me, I use it as like a radiant cream bronzer. This is the Tower 28 bronzer in the shade Suncoast. This is the lightest of the Tower 28 bronzers. And then this is the Salt New York in the light bronze shade. So I think these are all quite different shades actually, and the two that I'm comparing here, they obviously have a more radiant finish, so they actually have little mica in them that gives them that really shiny finish, whereas the Salt is more of a satin, slightly dewy, I think, finish, but really more of a natural satin type of finish. And I think you can just see that the shades are quite different. The Tower is a little bit more golden, I think, while the Westman Atelier almost looks a little bit reddish in comparison to the other shades. I think that the texture of the Westman Atelier Lit Up Sticks is actually not too far off from the texture of the Salt New York ones, but I still find that the Salt is just a touch easier to blend out. The Westman Atelier has just a little bit more stickiness. They're not sticky, but just a little bit more stickiness than the Salt. I think I've said pretty much what I wanted to say about these products. I just think they're really fabulous, and if you like cream products, I think you would really love these, and I highly recommend them. And Salt New York usually has a sale or a discount code that you can use as well. So I think right now they have 25% off orders of $60 US or more. I think that's with the code SPRING. And sometimes they also give codes to influencers who like their products. So for my most recent order, I actually used a code from Kate the Great Beauty. The code was Kate the Great 30, and Kate is spelled with a C. And that gives you 30% off any purchase that includes a bundle. And a bundle is when you buy a palette, and I think with at least 4 cream tints along with it. But just go to the website, you'll be able to find out all that information. And I really do love these products and highly recommend them. So that's about it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, I'd love to see those below. And let me know if you have tried Salt New York before, or if you've been interested in them. I know that a lot of people really love them, but I think that a lot of people haven't tried them or maybe haven't even heard of them before. So let me know if you have any experience with them or if you've been interested in them. And if you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would really love for you to do so. Thank you again so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.